All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our September breakthrough break free call about all your nutrition. Thank you guys so much for being here. So this month we've been talking about how to fold your family into your why. Such a touchy subject for people when it comes to nutrition and managing their weight, especially if they're trying to lose weight, right? So I've got a lot of great tips and strategies for you that I've learned over the years. But I can tell you this, that no matter what strategy that I give you or what tip that you get from anybody else, your biggest asset is going to be your mindset and changing the way that you look at how you think about what and how your family eats. So I got a quick story for you. Shortly after the birth of my last child, oh my God, that was 18 and a half years ago, holy cow. I immediately, so I had my kid in May, and for the first 3 weeks, I was on top of my nutrition. I wasn't breastfeeding, so I didn't have to eat a whole lot of calories. I immediately went back to walking and trying to build my strength up and all of that. I was doing so good. In 3 weeks, I was doing so good. And then I left where I was living, and I went home to the States and stayed for the summer. And I was living overseas in a not so populated area. And when I went home for summer and went into the grocery store, it was like I was surrounded by Christmas food. It was just like food everywhere, all these different brands of ice cream and chips. And I had been out of the States for a year. And I was like, holy cow, it's like, look at all these flavors of Pop-Tarts and all of this stuff. And, I'm a little old, so for a really long time of my life, they had like 4 flavors of Pop-Tarts. And then all of a sudden, all at once, they started coming out with cookies and cream and cookie dough and cinnamon bun all at once. So in the 2.5 months that I was home for summer, well, let me back up. When I got home for summer, I was wearing a size 10. And when I left 2.5 months later, I was wearing shorts most of the summer because it was really hot in Louisiana. We flew to Pennsylvania, visited my husband's parents, and then hit the road to the airport to fly back to Iceland, which is where we were living. Well, I knew I didn't have any pants that fit because I knew I had put on some weight over the summer, but I had no idea how much. And so we passed an outlet mall on the way to the airport, and I said, okay, stop there and let me run in and get at least 2 pairs of pants to wear home because I know my pants there aren't going to fit anyway, but I got sweatpants, no big deal. So I go into a Liz Claiborne outlet and I grab like a 10 and a 12 and, this and that. I run to the dressing room and neither one of them fit. And I was like, oh crap, I guess I gained more weight than I wanted to. So I go back and I grab a 14 and that didn't fit. And I went back and I grabbed the 16 and that didn't fit. And I was like, no fucking way. No, absolutely not. I bought that pair of 16, even though it couldn't fit. And I was like, I will starve myself for the next couple of days until I can button these pants. And I got in the car and I was crying so bad. And my husband says, what the hell happened in there? What's going on? And I told him that, and he just nothing, just complete blank, everything. So long story, I know we get back to Iceland. I was like, that is it. Strict, rigid, everybody's doing this. This is what there will be no snacks in this house, no junk food, no nothing. And so I had a baby and then a 9-year-old and a 10-year-old at home. That's it. Everything went out. And so it was going along for a few weeks, and I'm talking, when I'm strict, I'm strict. And then one day I was walking around our little bitty apartment and I was looking for my husband, and I knew he was home and the door was locked. So I knew he hadn't gone outside. And I go in the kitchen, I'm looking around. All of a sudden I hear something, and I open up the door to the pantry, and he's standing in the pantry in the dark eating potato chips. And I was like, what the hell are you doing? And he's like, I'm eating potato chips. And then I lost it. And I was like, what are those doing in my house? And why are you eating them? And why are you standing in the closet? And just, I can't even remember all the terrible things that came out of my mouth. And so when I stopped having a meltdown, He says to me, he says, I want to do everything that I can to help you. He says, but until you learn that this is your journey and not mine and not the kids, nothing's ever going to change. And you're just going to keep having this battle. Shit, I still tear up when I think about it. And I just like, okay, and pushed him back in the closet, right? I didn't need that advice. But it was so true. And when I lost all my weight, I moved back to the States. I went to work for Weight Watchers. And Weight Watchers is an amazing company, and they put you through the rigmarole of training. And one of the very first things that they taught us was that managing your weight is one of the most selfish endeavors that you have in your life, because it is all about you. And it's okay that it's selfish, because it needs to be about you. But that doesn't change the fact that you have a family, and maybe you do all the cooking, and you have kids who like goodies and all that thing. So how do you balance that? Okay, so now I've got a question for you guys. I'm looking for a volunteer. Do any of you guys make anything different for your spouse or your kids than you make for yourself? Nobody? Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't interrupt.
No, I was like, nobody makes anything different? I'm sorry, I don't know.
Well, I mean, like, I, of course, meal prep my lunches and everything specifically for me. My husband, he definitely eats something different, like, I don't prep for both of us. And then some nights, like, we do eat different things. Like, I have a very picky child, and I am working still on incorporating healthy foods, but still, like, that's an incorporation. That's not a full change, because if I just changed my kid's plate to what I was eating, he would starve to death, literally, because he wouldn't eat it. He's stubborn. He's like, no way. Like today I had some slivered carrots that I had from like making sushi the other day, and I was like, I'm just going to put a little bit of these on his plate, see if he'll eat them. He tried them. He said he didn't like them. Okay, well, you know what? He tried it at least. But no, I definitely, like, I think I do it a lot, especially for the kiddo, because he is so picky, and it's hard. But also, you can't just shove it in their face, and the same thing with my husband. Like, I work on him trying to eat a little better, but also if I force it, it's going to become a resentment, and he's not going to eat it anyways. So I'm like, why do that? But he, it's just incorporating those small healthy habits, and also just leading by example. So yeah, I definitely prepare differently for the family on some aspects. So
Absolutely. No, and I think that you do a really good job, because you're very creative. You don't give up easily. And that's kind of what you have to do when you're trying to get your family on board with it. And you make little subtle changes that maybe they don't even notice. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. Nikita, what about you? Do you have to make anything different for your husband or your kids?
Not really. I guess it's just because, like, I'm not too specific with like how different my meals are. Like, I've got my source of protein, I've got my vegetable, and then in most cases, especially like for them, I incorporate the carbohydrate still. So for me, like, if I have like a higher fat meal, I stay kind of on the lower part of the carbs. I'm not necessarily one for mashed potatoes, but like if I'm doing like a roast meal or something, my husband is like, I need to have potatoes with it. And then the kids are like, I need to have potatoes with it. So, I'll just load up like with the vegetables and the meat. And then like, it's not really, it really hasn't been an issue for me, but I guess my 5-year-old, she is like the pickiest though. If anything, she is the only one that I have to kind of tweak things for, because she will not cook, or she will not eat cooked vegetables at all. So I might have to have like raw carrots or, pardon?
I said amen for that. I wouldn't eat them either.
Yeah, no, she doesn't have any of it when I have cooked vegetables, but I like to have my even steamed vegetables. She's really picky when it comes to it. I think it's a texture thing, but like she doesn't like mashed potatoes. She'd rather have like the hard, crispy tater tots and stuff like that, right? Mm-hmm. So, but other than that, it's not too different, but there are some small tweaks that I have to make for her, or else, you know, she would starve.
Right.
So, yeah.
You know that in this effort to get our kids to eat healthy, and we kind of force feed them, that over time, kids remember those things that we've tried to force feed them, and they become more stubborn about it, and it kind of cements in their brain, and they're less likely to try those things when they become adults. As where if we back off and kind of let them do their thing and encourage them, or sneak it in there till they don't know it and then they eat it all the time, then they're more likely to try things as they get older. Because as humans, our taste buds change every 7 years. So if kids don't like something now, that doesn't mean that they won't like it later. You know, I used to literally gag reflex at any green vegetable when I was a kid. And I don't know why. I mean, I liked almost all other kinds of foods, but I couldn't do it. And then once I got about 21, everything changed. Been eating vegetables ever since. Who knows? Right? So, you know, you kind of have to find some balance with the kids and letting them feel like they're making choices so that we don't ruin it for them later. Right? Okay, so I do have some ideas for you. And Liz, you'll love these, because I bet you probably do a lot of these already. And it sounds like Nikita, you probably do too. It's taking things that already occur and doing more of them. So for instance, if your kids eat fruit, do more fruit. Because ultimately, if they eat more one thing, they're probably going to eat less of something else, right? So they may be eating less junk food of a snack or something like that. And having them help with those things, especially if they love something, they're more likely to help prepare it. So I used to have my kids measure out a cup of grapes. They would wash the grapes. They would pick them off. I'd get red grapes for one kid and black grapes for the other. And they'd have this little contest and who can pick all the grapes for all first. And then they put them in, you know, one cup in their little Ziploc bags and put them in the freezer. And those were their snacks. And so they knew which ones belonged to them because they had the different colors or whatever. And they washed it, put it away. And so they started learning, you know, little tricks like that. Even if it's something as simple as having them cut up apples, you know, with your little apple core or whatever. Get them involved in the things that they already like and do more of them. So the same thing goes with vegetables. If you have a kid that likes vegetables, give them less of one vegetable than you would normally do so that you can squeeze in something new. So instead of just having, like, I don't know, green beans, give them a whole lot less green beans and maybe then throw in, who knows, a cooked Brussels sprout. I don't know. But you get the idea. And keeping in mind that kids, actually this is for all of us, your stomach is only about as big as your fist. So you look at a child's stomach and that's about how much food, this right here is about how much food that you want to eat in one meal. And so you look at your child's fist or your teenager's fist and you compare that to the food that's on their plate, and remember what I said, anything more than that size and you're stretching the stomach. So take off some of those vegetables, take off some of everything else, right? And then when you have more room, sneak on another vegetable. All right. So what about spouses? Because they're not nearly as easy as the kids. Anybody got any, besides me, any history with having to cook 2 meals for somebody else? So my husband is a meat and potato man, but I live with it because it's actually really easy because he only eats meat, like red meat and occasional pork and occasional chicken, and a baked potato, French fries, pasta. That's about it. It's very small. So as long as he's got one of those, he's happy. It doesn't take me any longer to cook a piece of chicken for myself than it does to make him a steak. And I cook them together in the air fryer, right? He's easy. I don't ever have to have variety with him. So really just take care of myself. Most of the time I eat the same meat that he's eating and I'm just eating. And then I do my vegetable. the more resentment that we feel towards our spouse or our kids because we can't eat the way that we want, that ought to be our red flag that something else is going on that we need to look at. It's not about the food. It's not about what you're eating. It's about how you're going about it. All right. Okay, one last thing for you. Susan had asked a question on the thread that I was going to answer for because I know she's going to watch this. It said she's asking for a friend, right? And it says, imagine, oh, no. Hold on, let me get the question here. All right, Susan said, the question is, why does she crave, oh, no, why do I crave sugar foods or carbs more than, say, salad or fruit when I'm in pain? And how does one get back on track when it's hard to navigate the simple task? And asking for a friend, right? So first thing is that sugar creates endorphins, just like chocolate does, and it makes us feel good. That's why we like it. That's why our body gets addicted to it. So it makes sense that your body goes for the things that it's going to try and boost the mood some. If we boost the mood, maybe the pain will go down. That's one of the reasons. The other thing, it might be habit. Who knows? You may have reached for sugar your whole life when you've been in pain. That's part of it. So simple biology and simple habits. How do you break it? How do you get back on track? So now I want you to imagine for a minute that you're an airline pilot. And every single time that you get in the cockpit, before you even turn on the engine, you have to have filed a flight plan every single time. Which means that every day could look different. Every day that you get in the cockpit, it looks different. And every time I get in a car to go anywhere, which is only like twice a week because I work from home, right? I use Waze, I use my GPS, and I literally go to the yoga gym twice a week, and that's about it. Occasionally I might go out, but it's usually my husband's driving, right? So even though that's the only place I go, just most of the time, I still use my GPS. Why? Not because I don't know that I'm going there or where I'm going. It's only 5 miles from my house. There's 2 roads that I have to go on. But because my GPS lets me know if there's any obstacles in my way, or if traffic is blocked, or if there's something really going on, then it reroutes me automatically, right? So every single time I get in the car to go anywhere, I turn on my GPS. It's just like filing my flight plan, except that I'm looking for obstacles and my GPS is prepping me so that I can stay on track. When you plan every single day according to your day and your life and any obstacles that are present, then there's never any getting off track. Getting off track is when you've already planned your day, you have your flight plan, I have my GPS, and you decide to go a different way anyway for no good reason. That's how you get off track. So plan every day according to how you feel, what you're thinking, your obstacles, your challenges, all those things, and you never have to worry about getting off track. All right. Pretty easy, right? All right. Any questions? Any last comments, questions before we finish up? All right. Health Bet is still going on. Make all your posts. Keep people excited. I want to see how everybody's doing. It's been awesome so far. And starting in October, we're going to swap some of the calls around. And on the second Tuesday of the month, Michelle and Nancy and Caitlin are going to be leading a PD call because the Bible study calls did so awesome last month. We want to keep them going. So we're going to do that the second Tuesday of every month, same time. And then the fourth Tuesday is going to be the nutrition call. So we have a call every single Tuesday, unless we have 5 weeks. And of course, we record them all, so you don't have to be there for all of them, but just there to help keep you supported and on track. All right. That's it. Thank you guys for coming. Yay. Bye.